Do you know if the guest Wi-Fi is secret fried guest or guest?
Yes.
It is guest.
So it should be.
I know these passwords going through my head. Good evening, everyone. We're gonna call to order, so we'll have the roll call first.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Here.
Mrs. Levanti, absent. Mrs. Lamel.
Here.
Mrs. Grove. Here. Mr. Medina, absent. Mrs. Bergman. Here. And Mrs. Schroeder.
Here.
Okay, pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so introduction of guests.
Yes, we have our admin team here. We have a nice group of our teaching staff here. And then we also have Ashton Hart-Hernan, who's going to be presenting on insurance plans.
Okay. Sounds wonderful. Sorry, I'm stuck in a middle fold here. I'll work it out. So 2.0, approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Lamel.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Bergman.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 3.0, superintendent's report.
Yes, welcome. Already in September and rearing to go, but we have a couple things today. First of all, our PTA report. Tomorrow is our first PTA meeting at 4 o'clock over at Ridge Central. We have 3 out of the 4 executive board members are brand new. So they have some new ideas, some things they definitely want to continue to do. So I'm excited to see the turnout tomorrow and kind of what they're going to bring. Our first event is scheduled for Wednesday, September 24th. It's going to be from 5 to 7 over at Finley. It's the movie night. I know they're still deciding on the movie, but I think there's some pretty good ones that just recently came out for kids. So hopefully we'll get a good turnout for that. 3.2 is the enrollment report. As of September 4th, we have 1,558 students. That is 93 students higher than we had at this time last year. And I'm seeing lots of head shaking because we have very, very full classrooms right now. And we just got to keep monitoring that. It's been interesting talking with other superintendents in the area. Some have gone down like 100 to 150 and others have gone up. Ours happens to be one of them going up at the same time as we've been doing more stringent residency. So and you see it as the homes go up for sale, you're seeing more and more families move in. For 3.3, our vacant positions and possible staffing needs, a lot of the same ones that have been on there for a while, but we continue to look at our paraprofessionals. We just settled our contract with the paraprofessionals with our increased rates. You're starting to see an uptick in people apply for those positions. So as we see those, we are looking at our contractual positions and looking to switch those out when we have a good candidate. So we're going to be doing that moving forward. But we've definitely seen an uptick in the amount of paraprofessionals applying as soon as we posted those rates. 3.4, just some school opening updates. In talking with some different staff and some administrators, it really was a pretty smooth start to the school year overall, which has been nice to see. The one area that we're really trying to still work out some bugs in is the transportation. Julie is our transportation coordinator, has done a really nice job of trying to stay up on top of them, but they have not been able to keep one of the drivers. So we've had people either coming late or early, and then we have to let parents know at the last second, which obviously does not make parents very happy. So we're trying to come to a good agreement of how we're going to move forward, but we're still working that out at this time. 3.5, submitted grants. We're looking later in today's meeting for the Title I, Title II, Title III, Early Childhood Preschool for All, IDEA Flow Through, and IDEA Preschool. Just to give you a kind of a summary, Title I is really low income. Title II is our professional development. Title III is EL. I think early childhood preschool is pretty self-explanatory. And the IDEA Flow Through really ends up being our special ed. I think it's important that we continue to look at these as we move forward. I think the last thing I heard was in Congress at the federal level, they were recommending a 15% reduction in Title I. That was their starting point, so there's obviously a long way to go, but it's something we definitely need to focus on and be mindful of in our schools as we're creating budgets and plans for the years ahead. 3.6 is a fun one to talk about. That's our junior high outdoor education field trip. Again, we're looking to go to Camp McLean in Burlington, Wisconsin. Because it's an overnight trip per the board policy, that does have to be approved every single year by the board. We had seen right after COVID, the number just like tanked. Like I think even last year we were still in the 20s, but that was higher than the year before that. And last year we were up to 37. So we've seen it every year go higher. And one of the things we've implemented was having our seventh graders from the year before go into the 6th grade classes and really start talking it up. I know I sat in on Jeff and Julie's presentation to the 6th grade parents at open house, and they made a really big push and a plug and already had forms ready for them that night. So we hope that the board will approve this for April 16th and 17th, and we hope that more and more of our students will get to have a chance to experience it.
Do you know what the price is on it, or it all depends on how many buses you have?
It really is, it depends on kids and buses, so they're able to give a ballpark. I don't think it's gone up a ton every year lately, so we at least have an idea, but yeah, there's so many factors, and the buses always are like the highest part of it. And whether it's this trip or any other field trips, we have to charge parents, even when it's like a free zoo trip, like getting those buses is really expensive, so.
That's the other thing, though, I don't know if the PTA is still doing the thing.
They are still,
And they've
That's what they did a lot of us, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I know a lot of times we get people come to the board when I was on PTA asking for bus trips, because that's a lot of times what makes it the need.
correct, yeah. 3.7.
Can I?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I was like, I had suggested last year possibly having students who had previously been on the trip talk to the incoming students to kind of amp it up, as opposed to just the teachers, maybe showing pictures on the slide. I don't know if it's been presented to the
Yes,
students.
yeah.
Okay, I'm hoping that'll increase, you know, because I know we were down when we didn't do it during COVID, and then it kind of lost its flair, and I feel like there's more kids wanting to be a part of it, and I just think that to hear from teachers all day, but maybe to hear from kids who went, that like this was a great time and a fun trip is always, you know, hearing it from a peer is sometimes better than hearing it from a staff. No shade, but just saying.
absolutely. 3.7, just wanted to let the board know I will be down in Springfield Wednesday, September 24th through Friday the 26th. That's our superintendent's conference. They did lock one day off of it, which is why we didn't have to reschedule the September study session. So I will be here that night and then leave the next morning to head down to wonderful Springfield, Illinois. So 3.8, you found at your place when you walked in the state mandated reporter form. All employees, including board members, must complete this form. It really has to be completed every other year, but with just turnovers of board, if someone goes off and someone comes on, this is a really important form. So we are just going to ask every year for the board to sign that. Those of you who are educators are very familiar with this form, and you guys sign it all the time. 3.9 is our bullying policy. We updated our bullying policy on June 10th of 2025. It is state statute that every other year we are looking at it and making sure that we aren't going to make any changes. I am not recommending any changes, as what we have right now follows the law to a T. If you remember, it was 2 years ago at this point that there is now the requirement that if we are told about bullying, that we let the parents know that are on both sides within 24 hours. And we do that, and we're a lot more descriptive than it was required before, so we are following that. That was a big change made. That goes back to a case where parents weren't informed that the bullying was going on, and unfortunately some bad things happened. So we obviously do that every single time it happens. I submitted that we had updated the policy on June 10th. I have not heard back from the state if we had to have like an official vote just for that. So just to be safe, that's why we're going to vote on it tonight. So any questions on the bullying policy? You said we just went over it in June. And then I'm going to do my other. I'm going to ask our admin to share out what has been going well in the buildings the first couple of weeks here, and what are some things they might be working on. So we're just going to start here and go down. So Dr. King and Mrs. Geiger.
Perfect. So I'm going to share what's been going well. It has been the smoothest start of the year since we've been administrators. Our teachers are happy and they're working so hard and they're greeting our students every single day with open arms. Our kids are happy, our parents are happy, everyone has honestly followed our routine so nicely. It's just been an extremely smiley, good experience for the last 3 weeks.
One thing we are working on both now and kind of throughout the year is really building leadership throughout all of our teacher teams. So last year with the DLLT, the Literacy Leadership Team, we had some new members on that were given leadership opportunities that maybe weren't able to before. For the last 3 years, we've been working with our team leaders to really build their leadership capacities and lead their team meetings and focus our conversations on data and all kind of great things. And now this year we've added our LTL, our math leadership team members. So now we're kind of spreading it. Everyone's kind of having a chance to have more ownership in these conversations and leadership opportunities.
Finley.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to echo Katie's point, it's been a great start to the school year. A lot of excitement in the hallways. We had our welcome back assembly with the whole school. Kids were in the Viking mascot going nuts. It was a lot of fun. And then we ended with volleyball game with the staff and students. So it's just been a great start and a lot of positivity and excitement.
Dr. Thorne stole mine. Working on the buses, especially kind of affected the junior high a little bit more. The one bus has been, or it's primarily our junior high bus. So that's just been a challenge in trying to work with parents on that, making sure kids are getting home in a timely fashion. You know, we've been kind of looking at routes and just looking at some possibilities. Don't really want to make a shift just yet because I'm kind of hoping that they can get some of these drivers and have it be permanent instead of making some changes. So that's one of the key things.
Is it gonna affect the after school?
I haven't been told that yet, no.
And Ridge Lawn's gonna kind of echo the other positives. I think we started off really strong this year. We had a lot of changes with adding an extra section in second grade. We had the new furniture, a lot of changes to the schedule that there could have been a trickle down effect, but everything seems to be running really smoothly and fit in a lot nicer than we anticipated, especially with adding that middle section of the instructional special education class. We were worried how that was going to fit in the schedule, and it did. So we're really happy that those schedules are off and running and the students were able to get their services pretty much right away. And seeing the beautiful furniture kind of across all the buildings too is just really nice.
That being said, with the great addition of the other second grade classroom because of class size and the instructional special ed room, Ridge Lawn, probably like the other buildings, we're clear out of space. So that's kind of our challenge. Like, we've built these spaces and they're beautiful, and our enrollment is at our highest point ever in all the years. I've never seen it as high as it's now. It's 575. So when we kind of look across the building, that's kind of our challenge, making sure that we're meeting the needs of all the kids, using our spaces as creatively as possible when we have different things going on in the building. So that's something that we'll continue to look at and make sure that we're doing the best we can by that.
And when Fran says it's the highest she's ever seen, that goes back just a couple years. Thank you, everyone. Any questions for our building admins?
4.0 curriculum director's report.
So 4.1, after school academics and activities. So we will be starting our after school academics and activities the week of September 23rd. So a lot of that information has already started at the building. They're recruiting, the administrators are recruiting staff to run these academic and after school activity programs. Our kindergarten through 5th grade students will have academics offered to them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then on Wednesdays will be those activities, ones that you've heard of before, Saturn Ball and Sign Language Club. Retro Game Club is being offered at the junior high, and so a lot of those things are really exciting for the kids. So we want obviously the board and the community to know, be aware of that. And then also thank you for the opportunity to host these, because we know that the students really do look forward to being engaged in those activities when they get started. We'll run 2 sessions, one starting now until winter break, and then one after winter break until about mid-April. And then, we'll finish off the year strong with in the classroom and the instruction and things like that. One of the things that you will notice that we are going to make a change with is that Leader in Me program, which we've been talking a lot about over the last several years. Based on students and staff feedback, the program is really designed to be a summer program for 2 weeks, and that's what the content curriculum is provided to us. we wanted to make it in an after-school activity or a program after school. So we hosted it 2 days a week. And the feedback was really, there's just not enough content to host it from September to April. And so what we're going to do is consider running it in a summer program, a 2-week fashion and how it's designed, in hopes to get it more focused and students more engaged. So it would be a small window of time every single day for 2 weeks, where we would invite those kindergarten through 8th grade students to that program. Last year, we ran it in the junior high during the day, and we had some students, we lost some facilitators, and then had some students that were in it, and then they weren't in it, and after school, and then it's impacting or in scheduling conflicts with them wanting to be or needing to be in academics or after school activities. So we don't want them to lose out on any of those opportunities. So doing this in the summer will allow us to invite those students, having that really focused, really engaged group. And then with our conversations with summer school and what that might look like, hopefully it all kind of fits, the puzzle pieces kind of fit together.
Do you think that you'll lose kids if it's over the summer?
I don't think we'll lose any more than we lost this year through the school year.
Okay.
Yeah, just because in what we heard the feedback February is a lot of students were unable to attend because of spring sports. They weren't able to stay after school because that's when their softball, their baseball, their after school, sporting events picked up. And so the feedback we got from staff last year is what they went from 7 kids after school, 10 kids after school to maybe 5 or 4 or they would only be there on Tuesdays, but not on Thursdays, which you really can't run a program with kids only showing up part of the time.
Yeah, I think that it might be structurally a good idea to do it right before school started, or even right when school is starting, if you decide to go back to after school, just because the after school activities aren't started. I think volleyball does start right away, but I'm thinking, most people end their vacations, and I can't speak for all, but like closer to the start, because the high school starts 2 weeks earlier than we do. So the elementary kids would still kind of be around, but again, you would need the staff, and I know, speaking as a teacher, that time is sometimes very difficult getting your time together. I feel like if you did it right at the end of the school year, beginning of summer, it is such a gap to the beginning of the school year. So
Sure.
I think just maybe thinking about when is feasible, and even if it's during the summer school times, I don't know how that pulls administrators or staff, but I'm looking to see if it amps up, because I know it was like a great thought idea. I'd love to see it go into play.
So, how would that be, how would the students be chosen for that? Is it
So-
like summer school or?
No, so we would be looking to have recommendations made by staff, by, the students that we talked about in the springtime, when we had revisited Leader in Me, we talked about maybe special area teachers who see those kids after year, making some recommendations for that leader. We want those leaders that have that innate quality, or we can see that those qualities within them that maybe they need to be brought out. Teachers, at the beginning of the year, it's really difficult because they might not know the students yet to be able to make that recommendation, and that's kind of where we're at right now with these academics and activities, where those students aren't yet developed in that leadership in that classroom, so teachers have a hard time making that recommendation. We noticed that last year, parents wanted that, but sometimes the students weren't as interested in it when the parents were really making that
It
recommendation.
wouldn't work with kindergartners, but it could work with, if I'm in first grade and my teacher saw all this stuff and I need a little push to shine, I'm going in second grade.
Right.
It could be the transitional, and maybe if it's a kid who's in our pre-K program, then one of the pre-K teachers could say this child might, just thoughts on how to
Previous teacher.
how to make it successful and get kids to come over the summer, depending on, cause there's sports over the summer. I mean, I'm a travel baseball family and it's all the time too, so.
My question is, how do you then incorporate those skills into the school year if they do it over the summer?
So the program itself is built for the summer. Not necessarily, they're not taking lessons and going and doing it and coming back. So it's just building them within as whole citizens, not necessarily that leadership in.
I guess, does it connect to the school?
No.
Is it ever the superintendent's advisory committee? Is there ever any type of, I know you have kids who come in there, is there ever any
Yeah,
type
no,
of?
those are separate.
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't know how those kids were chosen and.
Yeah, that's usually a grade level recommendation.
Okay.
So when we were talking about possibly changing summer school, we were thinking, so these students would be going during the same time as summer school possibly?
It could be.
Okay, so then you're offering something more, something to more students
Right.
possibly
It's a great.
by having this, so it's not just the one group, so that would be a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay, and I do have another 4.2 other, for the last 3 years, the Love Your Face Foundation, has used the Finley Junior High gym to host a blood drive. It's been in, Finley's gym for the last 3 years, between October, November, right around there. This year, Chicago Ridge School District is actually going to partner with the foundation and share out information about how our school district members, our community members can donate blood and really support the foundation, but then also support the cause. Blood donation is huge. So that'll be October 4th. It's a Saturday from 11 to 5 in the Finley Junior High gym. And emails and communication will be sent out with the information that is in that partnership. So it's the Love Your Face Foundation and Chicago Ridge School District partnering and hosting a blood drive in October.
It'd be great to reach out to the village hall or even the park district, other people in the village, so it could be shared in a multitudinous way if we're looking for the other stakeholders in the community to know, because there's many people who don't have kids anymore in the district who probably would be willing or happy
You posted it like Jack and Pat.
to donate blood to be a part of it. I maybe I'm behind, but what is the Love Your Face?
So it's just an organization. I'll be honest, if I can just share personally, it is the
Look at it.
it is the foundation that was started in honor of my stepbrother, passed.
And he is a Chicago Ridge
Yeah.
resident, and so, yeah, so we were lucky enough that we could host that and be able to have the space for it. But we wanted to make it even bigger, so we thought if we're able to partner, and I think that's a great idea to kind of share with others, so that we fill it up and they don't have any slots available. That'd be
Well, and
best.
we have the Leo Club, the Lions Club, and we also have NHS kids who are looking for hours, or MGH, sorry. But I think that this could be a great community thing, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I was unaware of what it was, but I think that it could be a great community thing, you know, coverage, story behind it. I think it is a great way to pull all stakeholders together.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to go, I don't know if they want my blood, but I.
You can get up juice.
Comes out back, so
I was gonna say, Megan, I would reach out to Barb Harrison, the clerk, because she, the girl, Lauren, who's in Village Hall, she's the person who puts everything on the marquee that goes on, and if you have any picture or anything like that, they will get it out there and have it go on the marquee.
Yeah, we have flyers that have all the
Yeah.
information, and then we'll share out the how to sign up to donate. Obviously, walk-ins are welcome, but you would also be able to schedule and pick a time and what you wanted to donate. So if you've ever donated whole blood, platelets, things like that.
And then they do the one by the Metra, if it's a 503c1 in the Metra, they do certain ones that they will allow like a not-for-profit to go up there. I don't know what
Oh,
the
sure.
waiting list is, but that one at the Metra, so both of them.
Yeah, and anyone who's been on
Library and stuff.
social media, it could be shared on the 15 different Talk of the Towns too. It sounds like a fantastic thing, and I'm glad that we've been hosting it, partner up.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Let's jump to something really exciting. 5.0, Chief School Business, not that yours wasn't, Chief School Business Officials Reports.
Okay, 5.1, we're gonna talk about our 2026 insurance renewal. And we have invited Ashton Harnum and Ashton is an account executive with Marsh McLennan Agency. And Ashton works on a daily basis with trustees on our Lincoln Way area affiliation co-op. And she does her best to ensure that our premiums stay as low as possible, as our benefits for our employees stay as good as possible. And we invited her because we are looking at making some minor changes to one of the policies in the HMO, and also just another change in the dental. And she lives and breathes this stuff, so she is the expert, so she's just gonna give us a brief presentation. Perfect, thanks Kathy.
And I will bring this up here.
Is it okay if I just stay seated here? Okay, perfect. Well, before we jump in, I know Kathy alluded to, my main job is to make sure that we are keeping costs as low as humanly possible on these plans and the benefits as rich and attractive as possible. This year has been particularly challenging. I'm sure I'm seeing nodding heads, so I'm sure you are hearing about sort of the state of healthcare and where we're at in the United States and the cost of healthcare. So this year, we are seeing average increases coming out of Blue Cross anywhere from 15 to 25, even 30%. The worst increase I had this year was a client that got a 60% increase on their plans. So it's been a uniquely challenging year, and I think a lot of the reason for that, you guys are seeing all of the drug commercials, we're seeing exponential increases in the cost of drugs, the cost of just medical spend overall. It's what we call trend. So when we are talking about increases, we talk about medical trend, pharmacy trend increases of anywhere between 10 and 14%, and then add on to that the fact that most of Blue Cross's book of business is running higher than they anticipated. So Blue Cross Blue Shield did come out earlier this year and let us know that we would be seeing these increases, that they would not have a lot of room to negotiate, and a large part of the reason is that they aggressively pursued business for the last 3 years, and so they're spending some time trying to right that ship. That being said, the good news is you are nowhere near that 60% increase. And so actually what we're gonna show you today is that we got these rates in a really good spot. Really what we're looking at when we talk about making this HMO change is to sort of normalize, get a little bit closer to benchmark, have a little bit more skin in the game for members, and again, bring that increase down to a more normalized level. So I'll touch very quickly on the dental and vision renewals. I'll talk about that benchmark and then we'll show you what the medical looks like, but I promise you I will not talk your ear off about insurance tonight. So this page on the left is the vision plan. Take home message here, no change to the vision plan design, no change to the rates, and they did hold those rates for the next 4 years, so the next vision renewal is not till 2030. On the dental, you currently have a dual option dental plan, which means that your members can choose what we call the $1,000 DPPO or the $1,500 DPPO. Big difference there, main differentiator is that calendar year maximum. So currently today, they have the choice between getting $1,000 from that plan every year or $1,500 from that plan. And that $1,500 plan also includes orthodontia coverage. The DPPO 1500 is at a 10.5% increase, which sounds a little scary, but because these rates are very low, when we talk about a 10.5% increase, we're talking about an increase of $6 a month for employee-only coverage, $5 a month for employee plus one, and $12 a month for families. The dental PPO 1000 plan initially came in at a 13.5% increase. Again, you can see that breakdown there. It sounds a little scarier than it is. We're talking $6, $10, and $12 a month respectively. What we wanted to show today was the option to move from the dental PPO 1000 plan and offer the dental PPO 2000 plan instead. Reason being, I'm sure you're seeing it as well when you go to the dentist, $1,000 annual max does not get you very far anymore if you need anything like fillings or crowns or any type of dental treatment outside of sort of the normal preventive care. So for a very nominal increase, going from that $6 increase a month, so it would increase an additional $2 for single, it would increase an additional $4 for employee plus one, and it would increase an additional $5 for families, and you would get an additional $1,000 every single year towards your dental care. So we thought that looked really attractive, and again, the increase was pretty nominal.
But then orthodontics are not covered?
You would still have that 1500 plan with orthodontia coverage, but correct, they're not covered on the $1,000 plan today, they would not be covered on the $2,000 plan. So that $2,000 plan is just a replacement for the $1,000 plan, increasing that annual max.
Oh, okay, so it's not like, I got you, I understand, so I understand now, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay. Wanted to show you a quick benchmark here.
So we've got in the middle column there is the HMO benchmark, and on the right is the PPO benchmark. Let's just talk really quickly about the HMO. One thing that you will notice is that there is a deductible on our benchmark. We are seeing this a lot more frequently now, where HMOs, we are seeing small deductibles in order to keep the cost of HMOs low. We're not proposing adding a deductible to your HMO plan, so just please know that, but did want to show you that that's where the benchmark is today. Out-of-pocket maximum benchmark at $1,500 and $4,000 for families. One thing to note here on the office visit copays, for your PCP it's $20, for a specialist office visit it's $25. And that's really more normal for what we're seeing in the market, is that there is a differentiation between a copay to see a primary care doctor versus a specialist, because specialists cost more, they cost the plan more money. So that is something that we'll talk through on the next page. Emergency room copay at $150, and then you'll see the prescription drug copay benchmark at the bottom there. So again, looking at your current HMO plan, you guys are very attractive compared to benchmark. And again, we are really trying to stay within that benchmark. We still want you to have a very nice, rich benefit for your members, but we want to be able to keep that cost low. On the right, let's just talk through the PPO real quick. PPO benchmark. The deductible at $1,000 for single and $2,000 for families. So again, you guys are very far below that deductible benchmark, and that's good. That's what we like to see, because that's how you're going to attract and retain talent. Out-of-pocket maximum, we're seeing at $3,000 for single and $6,000 for families, and then you'll see the office visit copays just below that. For a PCP, it's $25. For specialists, it's $40. ER copay at $200. You again are far below that. And then you'll see the retail prescription drug copay benchmark at the bottom there. Oh gosh, everybody get your glasses out for this slide. Sorry about that. On the left is the HMO plan. So in that sort of middle part of the left section is your current HMO. The cooperative, Lincoln Way Area Affiliation, has certain naming conventions for the HMO plans available. So right now, the HMO plan that's being offered is called HMO Plan 2. So there's no deductible on that plan. Your out-of-pocket maximum completely meets that benchmark. And what's a little unusual about this plan is that the PCP and the specialist office visit copays are exactly the same. So we do, again, normally see a little bit of a differentiation there. But otherwise, your emergency room copay is at $100. You can see your prescription drug copays there, sort of in that a few rows above the bottom. The HMO Plan 2 this year is getting a 13% increase. That's an increase of just over $205,000 annually for your district. And the reason that that plan is getting such a big increase is because the HMO claims experience is extremely high. So there's a lot of claim activity happening on that HMO plan. In fact, we see a large percentage of the claims actually falling under pharmacy. Now, there's two reasons for that. One, your HMO is a managed care plan, right? So we've got a PCP that's really directing and managing all that care for your members. That's what we want to see, because that's how we're going to help to control costs. And that's why you guys have incentivized or made that plan very attractive, because we want PCPs to be directing that care. Is there any questions so far? Okay. Perfect. The plan right next to that is the HMO Plan 3. So highlighted in red are the only differences between HMO Plan 2 and HMO Plan 3. They are both using the exact same network. So members that are on the Plan 2 today can still see their exact same doctors. Their PCP office visit would increase from $25 to $30. Their specialist office visit copay would increase from $25 to $50. ER copay would increase from $100 to $150. Urgent care would increase from $25 to $30. Very, very slight increases in the prescription drug benefit for non-generic drugs. So any non-preferred, preferred brand, and specialty drugs would increase by $5 in copay. And then the mail order prescription drug copays increase respectively as well. If the district were to switch to the HMO Plan 3, rather than offering the HMO Plan 2, it saves the district just over $50,000 annually. So instead of a 13% increase, you'd be looking at a just sub 10% increase to overall costs on the HMO. Any questions about the HMO or the proposed plan design?
Other than these costs, is there any service hiccup with the HMO plan, like any changes in providers available, mental health therapists, any behavioral, all the things?
No, the network is are you between HMO 2 and HMO 3
Yeah.
or just in Blue Cross in general? The network is exactly the same. One thing that you may be hearing about, it was a little buzzy earlier this year, was that as of July 1st, Advocate did fall out of the HMO Illinois network, but this network is the Blue Advantage. So Advocate is still participating in the Blue Advantage network. Now, we have seen some letters from Advocate providers telling their members, we're not going to be part of Blue Advantage network as of 1/1 anymore. We are hearing from Blue Cross that they are still in negotiations and their goal is to maintain Advocate in this network. So as we know today, no change to that network whatsoever. And if there were a change, that would happen on the HMO Plan 2 or the HMO Plan 3. It would be exactly the same. Any other questions about this one?
So now, Adam, how does the contract state for the family plan, the percentage that they're paying?
In terms of,
Like how much, I know single is covered, everything like that, so those increases doesn't, but it does impact the family people, correct?
it doesn't impact the percentage, it's still
It's a
60%, right?
Yeah, so
So it's 60% of whatever the increase.
Right, so currently the CREST and the CREA contracts have a coverage of 60% for family, so they will increase proportionately.
We are not proposing any plan changes to the PPO. So on the far right, you'll see your PPO plan as it is today. Again, a very rich benefit. The PPO plan is getting an 8.5% increase, which is an overall increase of just under $40,000 annually. Yes.
I'm just reading this, so where it says like 80% and 70% after deductible, is that what we pay,
That's what the plan pays, yes.
so then the person would be responsible for 20 or 30%, not
Exactly.
pay 80%?
Exactly, yep.
And that's how it is currently already, there's no.
Yeah.
That's all I have for you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Any other questions for Ashton? Because we will let her go if you could stay for the budget presentation if you would like.
Run, Ashton.
To get on up.
That's very kind.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashton. So what we will be asking the board when we make the motion would be to approve eliminating the PPO 1,000 dental and replacing it with the 2,000 dental at that minimum fee that Ashton talked about with an additional $1,000 worth of coverage. And then we would also be asking the board to approve the plan from HMO 2 to move to HMO 3 at a cost savings of $50,000 to the district and the additional cost to the employee that's presented. Give me a minute to switch gears here.
So real quick on the dental renewal, we're looking at just eliminating, we're gonna keep the 1,500 plan.
Correct.
So we're still gonna have two plans, we're just
Yes.
going from 1,000 to 2,000.
Yes, and
Okay.
if there, yeah.
I like it on the one that I got, it says eliminate.
You know,
Like that I got,
I
that
did,
was
I
really
gave
nice.
you a
I
little
like
bit
that.
more of a no-brainer narrative on that, thank you for noticing. And it is important to know that the 1,500 is the plan that covers the orthodontist. Okay, I am gonna scooch over here. Okay.
Kathy, I thought of one more question here before you move on.
Sure.
Do you have like a percentage of the staff who are covered by one or the other on the dental plan?
The dental, I'm not sure if it's on there.
because we actually did talk, our entire committee here from the Korea Insurance Committee is here. Thank you for coming. We did actually run it by the committee.
Wonderful.
Because we wanted to see, is it worth offering the two plans? But we really came up with the idea that for the $2 extra to get $1,000, we kind of thought it was a no-brainer.
I feel much better knowing that you ran it past.
Oh, but
Yeah,
thank you.
that the stakeholders were.
I'm good, if they're good,
Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for, right? Okay, time of year to present is 2025-26 budget. And every year we talk about what the budget is, and it is our annual plan to accomplish the financial goals of the school district, which certainly aligns with the strategic plan to present a balanced budget every year. And I'm very happy to say we will be doing that this evening. And what you're going to be looking at is our best guess right now on what our estimated expenses and revenues will be. Traditionally, things happen during the year that we do not anticipate. So sometimes we do a tentative, we do an amended budget, which will come later in the year. But right now, this information is based on what we know. So we always talk about our revenue components, which are state, local, and federal. And our largest source of revenue is our evidence-based funding. And we still are a tier 1 school, which means out of that $350 million, which was actually only $300 million this year, the component of the $50 million did not impact us. So we did get all of our additional tier 1 funding, which means we get the majority of the money. So going down a little bit to that green, our additional tier 1 funding was $1 million. This I found very interesting. The EBF formula is based on adequacy. There is a very extensive worksheet that says how much we should have to run adequately. And even though our adequacy target, it went up from 24 million to 25.8, which now the state is saying it's going to cost $1.6 million more to work efficiently in our district. So that is very different because our adequacy target actually went down. Last year we were at 69%. Historically, we get more money. And we actually started this 8 years ago, we were at 54%. So we've really, really climbed up. And last year it was 69%. But since they gave us $1 million, but now their cost calculation is saying it's gonna cost us $1.6 million. Yes, yeah, of course. That's why our adequacy went down. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Kathy, can you talk to me like I don't know numbers? 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
I'm really confused.
Yep, okay.
So our adequacy target went down, but we still got an increase?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we get an increase?
Okay, and it is a great question because again, just like Ashton lives and breathes insurance, I live and breathe this, so it makes sense. So I appreciate you saying, just to kind of put it in simple terms. Okay, the state does a calculation to tell us how much money we need to operate in the best ability. Okay, right now, they're telling us we need the state to give us $25.8 million. If we had that $25.8 million, we would be golden, okay? Last year, they said in their calculation, we only needed $24.2 million, okay? So the difference between the 25.8 and the 24.2 is 1.6 million. So whether they did higher salaries, we did have 47 additional students from year to year, whatever their calculation was, the state said it's gonna cost $1.6 million more to stay level, okay?
So it's like a cost of living increase.
Yeah, and they only gave us $1 million. So we did not meet that gap. So in last year, when we were 69, if we would have gotten the 1.6 million, we would have stayed at 69. But the state is giving us less, they're giving us $600,000 less than projected just to maintain adequacy. So it's really, it's good news that we're still tier 1 because we're still getting the majority of this $300 million. But this is just evidence that costs are going up. The powers that be, a lot smarter than me, are doing this calculation and saying, wow, your district needs $1.6 million to stay status quo. And they only gave us 1 million. And I use that term loosely. They gave us $1 million, wonderful, great news, but where's the other 600,000?
Who decides that we don't get that 600,000?
That's the state. It is a spreadsheet that is
They
beyond.
know we need it to be adequate, but they don't give it to us
Well-
to keep us not adequate?
And I think we need to keep in mind that that's only at 69%
Right.
adequacy. The state target is for 90%.
90%.
So.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate the conversation because it is great news that we got $1 million. But even with $15.4 million, this is what the state is giving us. This isn't our property tax, this isn't our federal. This is coming from the state of Illinois, and we are still only at 67% adequacy. We would need, I do some quick math, but we would be at the 25.8 to be at 90% adequacy. Does that simplify it a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
Oh, the president.
I know, and it is, but I do think we have to celebrate the fact that we did get an additional $1 million in funding. We are not there, but it is something that's.
Can I just interject one more time? We got the $1 million. It is a constant fight to even stay with EBF at all. What we continuously hear is they're gonna do their best to finance this until Pritzker either wins the presidency in 2028 or doesn't even get the nomination, and then they're not gonna be able to continue to fund education this way. So we keep hearing of this financial cliff that they're talking about coming right around that time in Illinois. So we've got to project that out as well.
Okay. And the next slide doesn't get any better. Other sources of revenue is our regular and special ed transportation budget. Every year, the state prorates it. And there is talk that that is also going down. So the state, we're projecting the budget is lower than historical. Special education, private and public facility tuition. The state did something different this year, and I've been working very closely with Carrie and the co-op to figure out where our reimbursement is going to fall. Prior to this year, we were reimbursed at a certain percentage for our private students. Our private facility special eds, our kids that go to St. Coletta's or Elam. Okay, now we're going to be getting reimbursement from a portion of our cooperative kids that go to Eisenhower. It sounds wonderful because wow, we're getting money for these students that never qualified for reimbursement. A $40,000 cost for a special ed student, and we don't get anything. So the good news, that was the good news. I was very excited when I heard this. But what they're doing is they're basically pooling that same money. So now we have our private facility and our public facility students in that same boat. So we budgeted very conservatively because the co-op is telling us we're only going to get 55% of the cost for our special ed students that are outsourced. So that is again not.
getting it, but then they're taking it away from somewhere
They're
else, basically.
reallocating it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the same pool,
Sounds
it's now
great.
more, yeah.
so we're not getting 100% of the other thing, but we're getting 100% of one, and then they're switching.
It's,
Okay.
it's a hot mess. Can we go with that?
Now, Kathy, real quick, I understand the hot mess and they're moving things around, but with the things that are building onto Eisenhower, that all of the cooperative had done, that should take down some of the, I'm assuming that the special education, the private, is more expensive than sending them to Eisenhower.
Correct.
So I guess maybe that was a good allocation of, I mean, I know it still sucks, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It seems like we have already been trying to move from expensive, you know what I mean, to a little bit down. So if it's the same pool, if our numbers aren't as bad, you know.
Well, and we still anticipate that there will always be students who would not even fit in the
Yeah.
cooperative and have to go to a different place, but, yeah, the goal is always to give them that least restrictive, and so if they go to the
Yeah.
co-op, that will always be.
How many students, do we have an idea yet of how many students would actually be able to be taken out of private and go to Eisenhower?
For ours, it would really depend on how they're doing. From a numbers standpoint, I don't think it'd be too many right now. The goal with the Eisenhower building was to make sure we never got to that point where we're sending people who should be able to go to there,
Okay.
but couldn't, because we plan on opening, I think it's 12 classrooms in there.
But the ultimate goal is always to keep students here, and that's why we put in place all these programs to try and keep students in still the least restrictive environment, but providing that here with the new additions that we've done at Ridge Lawn and things like that. So there's strides all over the place that we're trying to make to help service students in the best facilities that we can offer, but still help include students here.
I can add too that there's already shifts that are happening now. So we've had kids shift from private to the co-op programming this year, a couple, and then we had students shift from the co-op programming to here this year too.
Okay.
So always looking at, yeah, at least restrictive and like where we can best.
Perfect.
Okay, and no change in the state free lunch program. In early childhood block grant, I just wanted to point out, I think I did last year as well, that this grant is no longer supported 100% by the state. Back when I started working with Friends, we always had a few extra dollars to budget. And now the $494,000 that they provide does not cover all of the teachers and paraprofessionals, so that remainder does come out of the operating budget. So in total, the revenue from these sources is about $1.6 million. Okay, local sources of revenue is gonna be majority, property taxes, 8.2, and interest on investments and corporate personal replacement tax, which is a tax and fees, for about $9.3 million.
Is that gonna go up with Briarwood or something?
What is Briarwood?
The condos. I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, when they don't have the tax,
The tip goes.
the tip is gone.
Oh, Cary Ridge.
Carrie Ridge.
Carrie Ridge.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so what's
Yeah.
gonna happen is in
Very
two
rich.
thousand and twenty-six, that area falls off the tip, which means we can now start capturing that revenue. And so when we do the levy for the 2026, which actually won't be from 2 years in November, we will capture that.
And that doesn't impact taxpayers, it's just
No.
a reallocation of the
Exactly.
funds as opposed to it going to other ways, it only affects the funds
And so
themselves.
when I talk about the balloon levy, that is the importance of that, because if we didn't put in that balloon levy amount and we had $3 million of property coming on, we would lose that. So we'll talk about that more in November though.
Can't wait.
Our federal sources of revenue, nothing is really changing this year. We have about 2.4 million, but as Dr. Thorns alluded to, this is this year, and we will wait to see what happens next year. But for right now, we're confident that we can budget for these programs. And then I wanted to throw up this slide. It's a little bit different because I wanted to compare the revenue sources between last year, FY25 actual, and the budget. Our local sources, last year we had 9.7 million, And right now, we're only budgeting almost 9.4. And the reason for that big decline is interest rates. Interest rates are projected to decrease this year, which means less money on our interest in investments, on our fund balances. Wonderful surprise if this number comes in higher, but we never want to overestimate our sources of revenue and overspend. Now, the state is clearly our evidence-based funding. So we're going from 16.2 to 17 million. And then the federal, if you notice, the federal was 3.8 million last year and 2.4 this year for the budget. That was last year, we had that additional $1.4 million in ESSER money that we got the revenue for. So the federal money is now back to reality. That is officially all gone. Okay, and then we just have to talk real quick about expenses. I wanted again to show all of the expense categories between FY25 actual and budget. And overall, we're really only increasing $242,000 in budget over actual. But what I thought was interesting was the year-over-year increase and decrease by category. Because overall, it's really flat for a $29 million budget. But what's interesting is salaries are going up 12.5%. We had increases, we had raises, but also we are seeing a shift from our contractual people to our salary people. And even though that looks like, wow, that's a lot of money, that's good for the district. We want employees rather than our contractual folks. And then the other one I wanted to point out is really this other, it kind of jumps out at you, the decrease of 30.5%. That is because we paid that $1.7 million last year to the Eisenhower Co-op. So that really kind of skews the total expenditures. So this year, our budget, we're looking at an annual expense of about $29.2 million. Okay, this is an annual disclosure. I am by law required to share with you twice a year. You'll see it now and you'll see it at the levy presentation. We need to share this Public Act 1030394, and all of this information is required to get to here. And what the statute says is we have to disclose what our annual average expenditures are for the last 3 years for our 3 operating funds, those being education, transportation, and O&M. And this is the public's way of looking at, do we have excess fund balances? And 2.5 is the magic number. If this is ever higher than 2.5, the state can intervene and we would have to actually present a spending plan to show how we would spend that money. So again, that is just required by law. And then our final slide here is overall, our cash flow prior to capital projects is $320,000. Okay. Overall, though, we will be seeing a negative cash flow of $367,000. This still does count as a balanced budget. The reason is that $1 million that we're projecting is on capital projects, which is not part of the operating budget. And we're showing the state that we do have money in fund balances to pay that. So even though we never like to see any sort of decrease in fund balance, it is sitting at right now the 367 negative. And then this is just the final slide, just reiterating our projected change in fund balance is the 367. If our interest income is higher, it's just a budget, and right now it's our best projection. Anybody have any questions? Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are at.
Yeah, so the next item under my section are really housekeeping items.
5.3, we are mandated to display all of these items. Public access, 960434 is administrative compensation report. The board will actually find that at their places. It was in the packet that was distributed, but I had a very large typo in there, and so that you'll find at your places. 5.4 is a similar public act. We have to disclose anyone that has IMRF salary compensation total package of $75,000 or more. And 5.1 is the EIS administrator and salary and benefits report from the prior years. So we will put those after the board meeting. We will put those on the website tomorrow. 5.6, hazardous bus routes. As part of our transportation claim, if we want to get reimbursed for having our students transported, we need to recertify our hazardous routes every year. Nothing has changed, but that will be a board action. 5.7, school-sponsored activities list. Every year I share out with the building principals and they make any applicable changes to any of the programs. And I do.
Can I jump in on the order? Two things that I'm hearing from the PTA that they're looking at possibly doing is not having the skating party, but having a talent show instead, and not having the glow party, but possibly having a fun run, which I know is a big thing in PTAs. So just know that as we look at this list.
They need to definitely think about that.
I've talked with them multiple times,
There was lots of issues with it the last time they tried.
We did not have it since I've been here, but I've already been told and have already kind of set some talking points with them. So.
In 5.8, I do not have any other.
All right, 6.0, old business. 6.1, potential board action to adopt or post for a second reading the policies listed on the agenda.
So the one thing that does have to be decided, we talked about it previously, is 280 board member oath and conduct. The board needs to decide if they want to have the sentence say a board member who fails to abide by the oath of office or the code may be subject to action by the board, including but not limited to formal censure and or referral to the regional superintendent for removal from office under board policy 260. The board has to decide that if they want that sentence included or not included along with the motion.
I'd like to see it included.
I've seen a lot of head nods. So I think we're looking for a motion to include that sentence.
So we need a potential board action to adopt or post for a second reading the policies listed on the agenda, but for policy 2.80 to include the sentence that would read, I don't have it, but that we would have the censure.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
So wait, are we adopting or posting? Because we're actually, is it to adopt or post?
And it always says adopt or post second. I would recommend adopt.
Adopting, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so I will rephrase it. I apologize. So potential board action to adopt the policies listed on the agenda. So we're talking about policy 2.80, and it would include a board member who fails to abide by the oath of office or code may be subject to the action by the board, including but not limited to formal censure and or referral to the regional superintendent for removal from office under the board policy.
I will still make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Mrs. Grove.
Aye.
Mrs. Schroeder. Aye. Mrs. Bergen.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamel.
Aye.
Mrs. Abudzik.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petraffi.
Aye. 6.2 other. 7.0 new business. All right. So 7.1 annual budget hearing for the Chicago Ridge School District 127.5. So this is agenda item 7.1. So I am going to have the public hearing on the fiscal year 2026 budget for the Chicago Ridge School District 127.5. I am opening the hearing at 7:33 p.m. Is there anyone who would like to address the board regarding the fiscal year 26 budget for Chicago Ridge School District 127.5? Is there anyone who would like to address the board regarding the fiscal year 26 budget for Chicago Ridge School District 127.5? Hearing is now closed at 7:34 PM. All right, 7.2, potential board action to adopt the Chicago Ridge District 127.5 fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.3, potential board action to approve the 2026 insurance plans.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Schroeder. Aye. Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.4, potential board action to approve the Title I, Title II, Early Childhood Preschool for All, IDEA Flow Through, and IDEA Preschool.
Title III.
Did I miss the three?
Yeah.
It is not, is it not, it's not on my sheet, so I apologize. I'm looking at this guy.
Yeah,
So,
in Title III.
okay, so it's not listed here, but I'll reread it. Potential board action to approve the Title I, Title II, Title III, Early Childhood Preschool for All, IDEA Flow Through, and the IDEA Preschool.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll second. Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.5, potential board action to approve hazardous walking routes for the school year 25-26.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.6, potential board action to approve the school-sponsored activity list.
I'll make the motion. I'll second. Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.8, potential board action to approve the bullying policy. Oh, I apologize, I put it next slide. 7.7, potential board action to approve the outdoor education field trip for the sixth grade for board policy 6240.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.8 now, potential board action to approve the bullying policy.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Perkins.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Budzik.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.9 other.
Nothing.
8.0 meeting reports. 8.1 other. 9.0 informational. 9.1 other. 10.0 opportunity for visitors to speak. Okay, so 11.0, president's prerogative. So I always think about what I'm gonna say, but I am gonna pivot a little bit based on Megan's information because it was so touching to me and I feel amiss that I didn't really understand it or know about it, so I'm interested in it. But we're back in the full swing of the school year with, you know, sports going, after school activities getting started, plus all the classrooms and, you know, the challenges that teachers face differentiating to multiple learners, as well as trying to challenge students who are at the top of that differentiation chart. And I think that all of these things are being supported not only by the tireless efforts that happen before school as well as after school and late nights, but also by our curriculum director as well as EL and aligning a curriculum and doing all these things. So I just think that as the president of the board, I think I can speak for everyone in saying that we appreciate all the efforts that happen. And again, I never want to forget the people who are behind the scenes, our support staff, you know, secretarial staff, custodial, everyone, even, you know, even technology and things like that, everyone who is all in there getting the school year rolling. I know that the support and dedication that happens day and night, it's not unnoticed, and we are incredibly grateful for everything. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that these things don't happen well if we don't have community who partners with us. And I think that it's great that we have, you know, a volunteer PTA who's willing to step up and do these things, as well as community members who support us and are part of it, and parents who are coming to these late night activities that we're doing. I myself have been to volleyball games, and it's, you know, my son plays volleyball, but I appreciate the fact that staff sign up to do these extracurricular things after their day of teaching to offer these opportunities for kids. You know, without the community support and the support of all the stakeholders, we couldn't build this we factor that we're trying to do. And, you know, as the board, we are here to support teachers and staff, but also the community as well. And having all of us linked together, I think, is such a crucial thing. All the stakeholders. So hearing Megan's kind of story and that this foundation is for, you know, a family member, it just ties it together that we are supporting staff and community members all at once. And I am truly proud to be a part of this board and this district. And I just want to say, you know, thanks to everyone, and we appreciate all of you. That's it. All right, 12.0, we're gonna adjourn for closed session.
All right, we're gonna adjourn for the discussion of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act cannot be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act as defined in the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1. The discussion of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees as described in Section 2C2. The selection of a person to fill a public office is defined in the Open Meetings Act, including a vacancy in a public office when the public body is given power to appoint under law, ordinance, or the discipline, performance, or removal of the occupant of a public office when the public body is given power to remove the occupant under law or ordinance as defined in Section 2C3. The purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel shall be acquired as defined in Section 2C5, the discussion of security measures and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to an actual, a threatened, or a reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, and the public or public property as defined in Section 2C8. The discussion of pending or probable and imminent litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the district as defined in Section 2C11. And the discussion of minutes of prior meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act as defined in Section 2C21. For the purpose of review, approval, or release of such minutes, we will not be discussing any student discipline during this closed session.
I'll make a motion.
And Mrs. Grove on the motion was
Second.
Mrs. Birkin.
Aye.
Mrs. Lambo.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mrs.